What if everything you've believed about yourself, your name, your memories, your identity, was nothing more than an illusion? What if the story of your birth and the inevitability of your death were part of a cosmic, what shall I call it, misrepresentation? What if you were never born and you'll never die? Sounds ludicrous, right? But hang in there for a moment. This isn't just a philosophical riddle. It's a key that unlocks the door to your true nature, not to mention the door to this prison we perceive we are in. Unbeknownst to many, we have a nature that's boundless, timeless, and beyond the limits of the mind. The idea of being unborn isn't about denying the body or the physical world. It's about seeing through the illusion of separation, of believing that we are limited individuals navigating an external, solid universe. It's hard to wrap your head around, isn't it? The idea that you are not what you think you are. Now, I can well imagine someone say at this point,
"Gladys, he's done it. I knew it was only a matter of time. The old bugger has lost his mind."
Yeah, maybe so. But I repeat, you are the awareness in which all things appear and disappear. Imagine waves crashing on the beach. Each wave seems distinct, separate. One rises, one falls, and another follows, and so on. But when you look closer, you see there's no real separation between the waves and the ocean itself. In the same way, you are not a separate wave, but the infinite ocean. You have no beginning, no end, and nothing to lose. This is not a theory. It's something you can see for yourself right now. And over the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to peel back the layers of illusion, examine the nature of reality, and explore why the concept of you or I, the one we hold so tightly to, is the root of all suffering. So let's step beyond the mind and into the truth, because once you see it, you realize you were never born. And that's the most liberating discovery of all. Close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself, who am I? Am I the grumpy grandpa? Let's find out, shall we? So who am I? Now the mind will immediately rush in with all kinds of answers. I'm a parent, a teacher. I'm a mailman or woman. I'm someone who loves, who struggles, who dreams. I'm non-binary, whatever that means. I'm a grumpy old bugger. But pause for a moment and dig a little deeper with me here. Who is the one saying these things? Who is it that calls these thoughts mine? Now this is where the illusion begins. From the moment we're born, we are conditioned to believe in a separate identity, a me that stands apart from everything else. We're taught that this self has boundaries, that it starts with our skin and ends with the world outside. We carry this illusion like a badge, reinforcing it with every thought, every emotion, every action. But have you ever stopped to truly question the dream? So let's dive a little deeper. Imagine holding a glass of water. It's easy to think of the water as separate from the ocean. But if you pour it back into the sea, where does the water go? Can you pinpoint the exact moment when it stops being water in a glass and becomes the ocean? Now the same is true for the self. When we think, what we think of as me, this bundle of thoughts, memories and sensations, is like the water in a cup. It feels separate, but in reality, it has always been part of something bigger, something infinite. And this is where the problem lies. We believe so deeply in this separate self that we spend our lives defending it, nurturing it, and fearing its loss. We think, this is my body, my life, my mind. what's left of it. But is it really? Think about it. Your body is constantly changing. The cells that make up your skin, your organs, even your brain, if you're lucky to still have one, are replaced over time. The body you have now is not the same body you had 10 years ago. Just look at me just 20 years ago. Not that one. So how can you say it's truly you? And what about your thoughts? They're just fleeting, aren't they? One moment you're happy, the next you're sad. One moment you believe in something intensely, the next you've changed your mind. If your thoughts are constantly shifting, how can they define who you are? Now let's go down the rabbit hole even further. Imagine a thought arises. I'm afraid. Where is the fear located? Is it in your mind or your body? Or is it simply a passing sensation like a cloud drifting across the sky? When you stop identifying with the thought, you'll notice something remarkable takes place. It loses its power. Now, I have personally done similar things in my meditations. For example, I get an itch, which intensifies. It drives me nuts. The urge to scratch becomes overwhelming. Then I place my attention on it. I become the observer of the sensation and not the one needing to scratch. The itch just disappears. Try it for yourself if you don't believe me, although I would recommend you learn how to meditate first. So what you take yourself to be, this limited, struggling person, is nothing more than a concept. A story you've told yourself based on memories of the past, projections of the future, and what others say about you. But who you truly are is none of these things. Your true nature is like the space in a room. The space doesn't change no matter what objects are placed within it. A chair, a table, even people. They come and go. But the space remains untouched. You are that space. You are the awareness in which all experiences arise and dissolve. So when you begin to see through this illusion of self, something extraordinary happens. You stop clinging to the stories of I am this or I am that. You realize that your true essence is boundless, limitless, and completely free. Lose the illusion of self, and the prison transforms. And once you see through the illusion, the world opens in ways we never imagined possible. Just align this concept with the existence of malevolent influences we deal with on a daily basis. Call them the archonic influence, if you like. We have touched upon the archons previously, those malicious AI entities that want to feed on our anguish and pain, our negative energy, our louche, if you like. They cause thoughts to enter our minds that can be painful or disturbing. The thoughts come in and go out, often without warning. One minute you're thinking about dinner, the next you're replaying a troubling conversation from yesterday. And often we let those thoughts bother us, to shape our perceptions and control our emotions. We even find ourselves sometimes engaging in fictitious arguments with other people, all in the mind, and then allowing those fabricated disputes to fashion our perception of that other person, and therefore our relationship with them. But here's a key question. Who is noticing these thoughts? Think about it. If you can observe a thought, you cannot be that thought because you're the one watching it. So this awareness of your thoughts, this unchanging presence, has been with you the whole of your life. Awareness is there in moments of joy and in moments of pain, and even in the quiet gaps between thoughts. So why attach awareness to those thoughts? When we get angry, we might say, I'm livid, I could knock his block off. Happens to me all the time. But we need to pause when this happens and look more closely at what's transpiring. Is the anger who you are? Or is it just an energy passing through? An energy, it so happens, the archons need to nourish themselves on. It's like a storm moving across the sky. It's intense for a time, but eventually fades away. Yet the sky itself, the space in which the storm appears, remains untouched. You are not the storm. You are the sky. This is our true nature, what we've always been and what we always will be. Our awareness is not bounded by our thoughts, emotions, or body. It's free, infinite, and ever-present. Now, while I was contemplating these things during my recent visit to the UK, usually on my daily walk, I realized something I hadn't before. Now, I thought I was on a journey of enlightenment to discover the truth of our existence, of this reality. I've mentioned it often in previous videos. It was my journey, as I frequently called it. What I now realize, after pondering deeply about these things, is that I don't have to chase after enlightenment or a future state of being. The awareness I sought is already here. It is the part of me that has never changed, never suffered, and never been lost. This awareness is not doing anything. It's not trying to achieve or become anything. It is simply witnessing. And in this witnessing, I realize something profound. I am not a person experiencing awareness. I am awareness experiencing a person, a program. When we see this clearly, the search for who we are comes to an end. Of course, coming to this realization often happens in steps, a progression, a gradual waking up, because of the memory right before we reincarnate and the immersive nature of the prison we believe we're in. But that essence of who we are is always there. We just need to see it beyond the prison walls. Now, we are entering the Christmas season as of this recording, and as usual, I have my favorite Christmas movies, the ones I watch every year. One of my favorites is A Christmas Carol, though it's a different version of it in different years. One of the scenes which captures my attention is where the spirit of Christmas present draws back its robe and two childlike beings crouch at its feet. They are introduced as humanity's ignorance and want. Now, is humanity ignorant? I don't think I have to do much to prove that assertion. And what about want? There are many aspects to our needs and desires which only exists within the illusion. Outside of the fantasy, there is no ignorance and certainly no want. This is reality at its fundamental level, and this is the key to our escape. We just need to expand our awareness by understanding this fact. You detach from the me program. I also realized that this is not new. Many have appreciated this fact down through the ages. It's just that only now have I truly recognized this. I've given the idea a nod of my head, a tip of the hat, if you like, but only now have I seen it in real terms. Only now has it really become part of my awareness, solidified within my perception. I don't know how else to describe it. It's beyond description. It's just a knowing. Now, as a species, we are so prone to the dynamics of self-deception, much of which we are ignorant. We don't know we are being deceived or self-deceived. So what could the outcome of this ignorance be? Well, we are seeing an increase in suicide and a significant uptick in anxiety and depression. Mental illness is on the rise, and there is the loneliness epidemic, not to mention the addiction crisis. How do we make sense of all of this? Well, it's self-deception, which leads to ignorance. We buy into the ego program. We absorb into the matrix with complete immersion, and all of this becomes real to us. But it's not real. Now, does it mean that realizing this will make everything easy? Absolutely not. Applying certain techniques to lessen pain and to withdraw from the simulation takes practice. A lot of practice. A lifetime maybe. This includes remembering that everything is an illusion when bad things happen, so we can begin to apply the various techniques learned over time. Archaics calls it breaking pattern. It's a way to outsmart the AI seeking to control us. We become the witness and not the experiencer. It takes dedication and perseverance for it to become second nature, or muscle memory if you like. The illusion is so convincing, the prison walls appear so overwhelmingly solid. It takes an absolute conviction that you have the truth to press on and perceptually break free. Remember the double slit experiment I explained in the last video when you're tempted to believe in the solidity of the universe. The waveform potential only becomes a particle when it's observed. It's all down to consciousness or awareness. That's the only reality. So where does awareness fit into simulation theory? What is the simulation and how do we escape its confines? Now, after looking at who we really are, and this description is at the absolute fundamental level, I think most can figure it out and how this can be done. We extrapolate. Now, as I said, this can happen in steps, a progressive movement forward, if you like, though the ultimate awareness is always already there. Often we need to gradually disengage from the programming, and we need to do this as we wake up. If you are in a deep sleep, it usually takes more than one prod from someone to rouse you out of the dream. Rarely does this happen in an instant. We awaken to a certain level and see through an event, at first maybe causing a degree of suspicion. For example, understanding that the governments of the world do not run the world, that there is a shadow organization or power pulling the strings. Then another level of awakening takes place, and another, and so on. The layers of deception are gradually peeled away, exposing the truth. And eventually we come to see that infinite awareness is the only reality. Everything is the same consciousness, just in different states of perception and frequency. Christ said in the Gospel of John that we are in the world, but like him, not of it. So what is the nature of the prison or the matrix? Now, as we will see, it's all down to vibration. But that's for the next video. Until then.
If you enjoyed this video, don't be a pussy and subscribe to the Grumpy Old Buggers channel, so I can get some peace and quiet.